everyone, welcome to Biophilia's video on part 2 of microbes in human welfare. So before starting these concepts, do like, share and subscribe and hit the bell icon so you get notified for the upcoming videos. So let's start understanding about how microbes can be beneficial in sewage treatment. So before understanding how it goes, we need to understand what sewage is. So sewage is the municipal waste water that is called as sewage. So sewage में क्या होता है? Sewage में सबसे ज़्यादा organic matter होता है and this organic matter is going to be majorly human excreta. So this human excreta that flows out of our household water that needs to be collected to different drainage pipes, or finally this water is going to be collected under the sewage treatment plants, और sewage treatment plants में जाकर the organic matter needs to be decreased so that the water is being less polluting. अब ये less polluting water बनाना क्यों ज़रूरी है? Because when we say the water is less polluting, we mean that organic matter has been decreased. तो जब ऑर्गेनिक मैटर डिक्रीज हो जाएगा तब क्या होगा, दैट वी आर गोइंग टू सी विद अ डिफरेंट एंगल. तो समझो अगर ऑर्गेनिक मैटर ज़्यादा होगा, that is water has been more polluting, that means organic matter in the water has increased. Organic matter ज़्यादा होगा, that is going to increase the food for microbes. So microbes are going to feed on this so that they can get energy. So food for microbe increase होगा तो population for microbe is going to increase. Population increase होगी, there is going to be algal blooms all around the water. तो algal blooms, that is the process that we say, या फिर एक term देते हैं, that is eutrophication. So eutrophication में क्या होता है? You might know that under eutrophication, oxygen content in the water bodies is going to decrease. And when oxygen content of the water bodies is going to decrease, that is going to lead to death of organisms. तो अगर एक्वेटिक ऑर्गेनिजम्स की डेथ हो जाती है तो दैट इज गोइंग टू बी अ वेरी बैड सीन हैपनिंग अराउंड द वाटर बॉडीज. सो इट बिकम्स वेरी इम्पॉर्टेंट कि जो भी सीवेज ट्रीटमेंट प्लांट्स में सीवेज आ रहा है दैट नीड्स टू बी मेड लेस पोल्यूटिंग so that the oxygen content is maintained in the water and the protection of the aquatic organisms is done. So for making the water less polluting, the microbes are going to help. So let's understand कि ये microbes कैसे treat करते हैं the waste water so that it can be less polluting and be useful in some other ways. So first of all, the treatment is done by the heterotrophic microbes that are going to be naturally present in the sewage. But this natural process would take a lot of time. But nowadays, with the increasing human population, the natural process is very slow. So that needs to be treated with the human interference under the sewage treatment plants. So the complete treatment undergoes three processes or three stages, that is the primary treatment, secondary treatment and the tertiary treatment. So we would be understanding these stages one by one in detail in the future slides. So now let's understand the first stage, that is primary treatment. So primary treatment is basically a physical process जहाँ पे removal of large and small particles is a main concentrated area. So removal of large and small particles में कैसे particles remove होता है? Like there can be metal cans, there can be plastic bottles, bags, or small pebbles and stones. So all that trash that flows through the drains need to be separated before further procedures. So ये removal process जो है that is going to include the filtration process and second step, that is sedimentation process. So filtration के लिए there are going to be different sized mesh and that mesh is completely made up of a grid chamber. So you can see in the adjacent diagram कि grid chamber होता है and that grid is going to be made up of soil and small pebbles, जिसकी वजह से there is going to be resistance for the cans and the plastic bags and bottles, जिसकी वजह से वो वहीं पे रुक जाएंगे and the comparatively cleaner water is going to flow and start the process of sedimentation. So sedimentation जो होगा, in that process the grit is going to be removed. So grit में अगर वो फिल्ट्रेशन के टाइम पे अगर कोई और स्मॉलर पार्टिकल्स अगर रह गए होंगे, so all that is again going to be removed. So all the solid particles जो soil particles थे या small pebbles stones थे, that is going to be the solid part and that is going to be called the primary sludge. And the supernatant, that is the water that is going to be left after the sedimentation process, that is going to be called the primary effluent. अब ये जो primary effluent है, that is going to go further for next processing, that will be under the primary settling tank. A primary settling tank में होगा the next stage, that is a secondary treatment. Now let's see the second stage, that is secondary treatment. So secondary treatment में क्या होता है? The primary effluent that has been coming from the primary treatment, तो primary effluent अभी pump होगा into large aeration tanks. अब large aeration tanks में क्या होगा? As the name aeration, वहाँ पे constant agitation होगा. That means there is going to be continuous rotational motion of pedals, और pedals जैसे ही rotate होंगे, the water is mixed with air that has been pumping into it. So you can see in the diagram adjacent, जहाँ पे pedals लगे हुए हैं, big pedals, and these pedals are continuously moving and the oxygen supply is going to be provided into these large tanks. अब जैसे ही ऑक्सीजन प्रोवाइड होगा थ्रू द एयर दैट हैज बीन पंपिंग इनटू इट, वहाँ पे vigorous growth of useful microbes is going to take place. So जैसे ही ये aerobic microbes आते हैं, heterotrophic microbes, they are going to be called as flocs. Now what are flocs? Flocs are going to be a combination of fungal filaments and the mass of bacteria. So fungal filaments are going to make a mesh like structure, और ये mesh like structure के अंदर सारे bacterias are going to be trapped inside it. So जैसे ही bacteria trapped और mesh like fungal filaments बन जाएगा, that will be called as flocs. So now these flocs are going to consume the organic matter that has been present in the primary effluent, और ये जैसे ही organic matter consume होगा, तो biological oxygen demand, that is BOD, is going to be reduced. अब ये BOD क्या चीज होती है? BOD is nothing but amount of oxygen that has been consumed by the microbes to digest the organic matter in 1 liter of water. तो 1 लीटर वाटर के अंदर जितना भी ऑर्गेनिक मैटर होगा, उसको पूरा कंप्लीटली डाइजेस्ट करने को माइक्रोब्स को कितना ऑक्सीजन लगेगा, that is going to decide the biological oxygen demand. So now this biological oxygen demand, that is BOD, is going to be a measure to measure how much organic matter is going to be present inside the water. So अभी इसको कैसे समझना है? समझो अगर BOD of certain sample of water, अगर BOD ज़्यादा है, that means the oxygen needed by the microbes is going to be more. So oxygen ज़्यादा लग रहा है, that means the organic matter is going to be more inside the water, यानी पानी ज़्यादा polluted है. That means the pollution potential is going to be higher. So finally you can conclude that whenever the BOD of certain water is higher, the pollution potential is going to be higher. तो जितना ज़्यादा BOD उतना ज़्यादा polluted water, या फिर आप कह सकते हो उतना ज़्यादा organic matter होगा inside that water. So finally after the secondary treatment, the major objective is organic matter कम हो, so that oxygen needed is reduced. So after this process जहाँ पे flocks बन चुके हैं, now these flocks need to be removed outside the water. So now we will see that procedure in the next slide. अब जो इफ्लुएंट एरिएशन टैंक में से जो बना था दैट नीड्स टू बी पास्ड इनटू द सेटलिंग टैंक. अब सेटलिंग टैंक में क्या होगा, सेटलिंग टैंक में जो भी फ्लॉक्स क्रिएट हुए थे दोज आर गोइंग टू सेटल एट द बॉटम लेवल टू क्रिएट द सेडिमेंट, और ये सेडिमेंट को हम बोलेंगे एक्टिवेटेड स्लज. नाउ दिस एक्टिवेटेड स्लज का कुछ पार्ट that is going to be pumped back into the aeration tank. यानी जहाँ पे फ्लॉक्स ऑलरेडी प्रिपेयर हो रहे थे वहाँ पे ये प्री प्रिपेयर्ड जो स्लज है that is going to be pumped and that is going to act as inoculum. Inoculum क्या होता है, inoculum को दूसरे तरह से बोलते हैं स्टार्टर. दैट इज द सेम वे जैसे दही जमाने के लिए यू ऐड प्री प्रिपेयर्ड कर्ड. तो जैसे पहले बना हुआ दही दूध के अंदर मिक्स करते हैं सो दैट द कल्चर्स ऑफ बैक्टीरिया इंक्रीजेस, इन द सेम वे दिस एक्टिवेटेड स्लज का जो पार्ट होगा that is going to be pumped into the aeration tank so that the microbes level increase and there is much more digestion of the organic matter. तो वैसे ही ये इनोकुलम पंप होगा इनटू द एरिएशन टैंक. अब ये सारा का सारा एक्टिवेटेड स्लज तो पंप नहीं होगा, रिमेनिंग ऑफ द एक्टिवेटेड स्लज इज गोइंग टू बी पंप्ड इनटू एनारोबिक स्लज डाइजेस्टर्स. अभी एनारोबिक स्लज डाइजेस्टर्स में क्या होता है, देयर आर गोइंग टू बी एनारोबिक मिथेनोजेनिक बैक्टीरियाज. अब ये माइक्रोब्स जो होते हैं दे आर गोइंग टू डाइजेस्ट द फ्लॉक्स, और फ्लॉक्स क्या थे, दे आर गोइंग टू बी द रिमेनिंग ऑफ द एक्टिवेटेड स्लज. तो जो एक्टिवेटेड स्लज के अंदर के फ्लॉक्स है उसको ये एनारोबिक मिथेनोजेनिक बैक्टीरिया उसको डाइजेस्ट कर लेंगे, और जैसे ही डाइजेस्ट होंगे दे आर गोइंग टू प्रोड्यूस मीथेन, कार्बन डाइऑक्साइड एंड H2O गैस. अब ये सारे जो गैसेस है दीज कैन बी यूज्ड एज बायोगैस, और बायोगैस यू माइट नो दैट this gas is used for cooking purposes as cooking gas or for lighting lamps. All those processes this biogas can be useful. So this process आप समझ सकते हो under this diagram कि यहाँ पे sedimentation tank था, sedimentation tank के नीचे we got the activated sludge. So activated sludge का कुछ part जो है that went back to the aeration tank. एरिएशन टैंक में देयर वाज कंटिन्यूअस रोटेशन ऑफ द पेडल्स जहाँ से ऑक्सीजन सप्लाई आ रही थी एंड द फ्लॉक्स वर प्रिपेयर्ड इनटू इट. तो एक्टिवेटेड स्लज का कुछ पार्ट वेंट इनटू द एरिएशन टैंक और बचा हुआ पार्ट हैड बीन मूविंग to the anaerobic sludge digesters. So in that you know now that the biogas has been prepared that can be used. अब ये जो ऊपर का जो पानी है that remaining sedimented water that needs to be processed. So जो ऊपर पानी बच गया है that is going to be taken for the third stage of treatment, that is the tertiary treatment. So now in the tertiary treatment that is going to be a physiochemical process. A physiochemical process है, in that procedure the wastewater is going to be made useful for domestic purposes, और ये डोमेस्टिक पर्पस पे तभी यूज हो सकता है when the tertiary treatment has been done. So washing के लिए जो पानी आप यूज कर सकते हो in the washing machines or wash basins, all those areas you can use these treated water. Not for drinking, but nowadays due to lack of clean water now you can also use another procedures like you can use chlorine gas, you can use ozone gas या zirconium या UV rays या reverse osmosis. ये सारे procedures की वजह से you can treat the water and make it safe for drinking also. So जो हार्मफुल केमिकल्स या पेस्टिसाइड्स है लाइक DDT या कोई पैथोजेंस है दैट कैन कॉज डिसीजेस, और द टर्बिडिटी दैट हैज बीन फॉर्म्ड बिकॉज ऑफ यूजिंग ऑफ डिटर्जेंट्स. सो ये सारा रिमूव होता है इन द टर्शियरी ट्रीटमेंट एंड फाइनली द वाटर कैन बी यूज्ड for domestic purposes or with additional treatment you can use it for drinking as well. So that is going to come under the tertiary treatment. Now let's try to visualize the entire process that was happening in the sewage treatment plant with this video. So let's see this video to get a better understanding.
Cities and towns have sewerage systems in place to carry the wastewater from our homes, hotels, factories, and other establishments to a sewerage treatment plant where the wastewater is treated. It is then deemed safe to release into other water sources. The treatment of wastewater goes through different stages. Wastewater is treated to remove the physical, chemical, and biological contaminants present in it through various processes. The pre-treatment process involves the sewage being sent through grids or vertical bars that can remove large solid substances like metal cans, paper, and plastic materials. In primary treatment process, the sewage flows through the grit chamber very slowly, so that the sand, pebbles, and soil settle down at the bottom. The sewage flows into the settling tank or sedimentation tank, where the solid wastes like feces are allowed to settle down. Wastes such as soaps, oils, and grease rise to the top of the wastewater. The waste material that settles down at the bottom is called the sludge, and the floatable material is called the scum. Scum is then removed using a skimmer, and sludge is removed with a scraper every few days. The water that is left out is called the clarified water. In the secondary treatment process, biological or organic wastes are removed. It is a biological process. This is done by transferring the clarified water into an aeration tank, where air blowers bubble air, which helps the aerobic bacteria to grow and feed on the organic contaminants such as food waste, feces, and other organisms. The mixture then flows from the aeration tank into the clarifier, where activated sludge settles out by gravity. The activated sludge so produced, along with the sludge produced in the primary process, is transferred to the digester, where it is decomposed by anaerobic bacteria. Biogas is produced in this process, which can be used as fuel or can be used to produce electricity. The activated sludge is then left in the sand drying beds. Some quantity of water in the activated sludge evaporates, and the remaining quantity drains through the sand beds. This leaves behind the remaining dried sludge, which can be used for making fertilizers or compost. In the tertiary treatment process, the leftover wastewater is treated with chlorine to remove the phosphorus compounds, nitrogen compounds, and bacteria. It is a chemical process. Chlorine tablets are added to kill the germs. This process is called chlorination.
So I hope with this video the entire clear process has been developed into your mind, and this video would understand the concepts much more clearer that was happening in the sewage treatment plant. So for such more videos, do like, share and subscribe, and let's begin the next topic. So now the next topic is going to be about microbes in production of biogas. So biogas ki production mein how microbes are going to be useful is going to be seen with this slide. So let's see what is biogas first of all. So biogas is going to be composed of methane, carbon dioxide, hydrogen sulfide, hydrogen and others. So methane जो होता है that is going to be the major component of biogas, that is about 50 to 70% of the gas. फिर second number पे आता है that is carbon dioxide with 30 to 40%, then hydrogen sulfide, hydrogen gas, and rest of the gas is combinedly produced for 10%. So now these percentages are important because sometimes they may ask direct questions based on how the percentages are there of the gases. So this complete mixture is going to be called as biogas. A biogas जो है that is going to be produced with the help of microbes that are called as methanogens. So ये जो methanogens होते हैं they are going to grow under anaerobic conditions जहाँ पे ऑक्सीजन नहीं है, ऐसी conditions पे they are going to grow and they are going to digest the cellulosic material. The most common methanogen is going to be called as methanobacterium, and this methanobacterium can also be found in the anaerobic sludge, and that can also be found in the rumen of cattle. तो rumen of cattle से जो feces बाहर आएंगे, that is the gobar or the dung of the cattle, in that also these methanogens are going to be present, और this rumen कैटल के अंदर का जो मिथानोजन है उसी के ऊपर with that thought process the gobar gas plant has been developed, that naturally present methanogens in the gobar can be used for producing biogas. So that technology of biogas from gobar was developed by two major institutes. They were Indian Agriculture Research Institute and Khadi and Village Industries Commission. ये दो major constitutions थे जहाँ पे they developed the technology, and nowadays in the villages the biogas is the major used gas for cooking and lighting purposes. So that has been a very big boon of microbes to be useful as biogas. Now let's see how this biogas plant exactly works. So biogas plant के लिए first of all you need a big concrete tank, and big that means it should be about 10 to 15 feet deep, in which the bio waste is going to be collected. अब bio waste जो collect होगा उसमें water add करके slurry बनाई जाएगी, and that slurry is going to be kept under floating cover. तो floating cover लगाया जाएगा, and that floating cover can be raised because the gases are going to be produced as the microbes are going to act on the slurry. अब जैसे ही microbes act करेंगे they are going to release gases that were constituents of biogas, और फिर ये जो gases release हुए हैं they are going to be taken out of the concrete tank through the outlet, और ये आउटलेट से एक पाइप कनेक्ट की जाएगी and they will supply this biogas to the nearing houses, and now these houses can use the biogas for as cooking gas, or they can light lamps. That is going to be helpful for their daily usage. अब जो बची हुई slurry है that slurry is going to be removed and that can be used as fertilizers in the farms, because again they are going to be rich in microbes and organic material, so they can be used as fertilizers in the farms. So in a way you can get the biogas as well as fertilizers when you are going to build a biogas plant. So many villages have settled their own little biogas like here. So ये छोटा सा biogas plant can also be useful for individual or one or two houses. You can have big concrete tanks like these, or you can have very large scale biogas plants with a bigger tank setup. So this was all about the sewage treatment plant and the biogas plant, wherein the microbes are used for your benefit. We'll come back with one more such interesting benefit of microbes in the next video. Till then you have to like, share and subscribe and hit the bell icon so you get the notification for the next video. Till then keep studying, stay happy. Thank you.